Now, here is some beautiful imagery from First Lady Melania Trump's upcoming film. This looks incredible. Sorry, lefties, but I think it's going to be a hit.
Here we go again.
You can come in. Come on in. Our proudest legacy will be that of peacemaker.
Peacemaker in the fire. Beautiful. Together with like-minded leaders, we have a voice. Is it safe?
It is safe.
Everyone wants to know. So here it is. Hi, Mr. President. Congratulations.
Did you watch it?
I did not. Yeah, I will see it on the news.
Joining me now is celebrity and royal commentator Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, Baron Trump is going to be making his big screen debut in this upcoming documentary. And I've got to say, that trailer, it looks fantastic. And I love that iconic moment, the exchange between the president and the first lady. And he asks her, did you watch it? And she says, I did not. I'll watch it on the news.
She's like, I had other things to do. I'm a very busy first lady. She looks so happy in this trailer. She looks confident. She looks like she's having fun. You know, in public, we see her, she's very guarded and she is very stoic. And I admire that, but it is so interesting to see this different side of her. You know, she doesn't need Anna Wintour. She's doing her own thing and she's setting the record straight. And I really think that she might change a lot of hearts and minds with this movie.
Well, there is a great deal of fascination when it comes to Melania, maybe because she is guarded and stoic and there's an air of mystery around her. And there's certainly great fascination too with Baron Trump. So those two factors, I think, are going to make this a bit of a hit.
I completely agree. Baron has become a heartthrob. There are multiple social media accounts dedicated to him these days, run by his fans. And so this is going to hit the spot for those young Trumpers.
Now, Netflix has reportedly cancelled its gay military series called Boots after Pentagon labelled it woke garbage. Kinsey, the series was set to follow the story of Cameron Cope, a gay teen from Louisiana who is bullied and somehow finds purpose in the military.
Yeah, and apparently Cameron's going to have to find a new purpose elsewhere because Netflix's exclusivity is so strict that they can't shop this show anywhere else. And while the Pentagon did call it woke garbage, it was actually kind of popular. I mean, it had way more eyeballs than with Love Meghan. So there are a lot of disappointed fans. I just think that maybe this is, you know, how big could they grow the base? Where could they go with this story? I do think that Netflix realized that they were potentially limited with the content.
Rap superstar Nicki Minaj has blasted California Governor Gavin Newsom in a series of posts on X. She wrote, "Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids." Kinsey, Nicki Minaj is becoming more and more outspoken. She seems to be very based. I've got to say, I did admire her coming out and speaking up for the plight of persecuted Christians in places like Nigeria. I thought that was really a brave stand, and she gave a voice to people who don't get the media coverage that they deserve.
Yeah, and I mean, I love the fact that she's going after Gavin Newsom. You know, I don't like Gavin Newsom very much, and he's my governor. He has flip-flopped on this issue too. Remember when he was sitting in front of Charlie Kirk? He was saying we should, trans kids shouldn't compete with other children in sports. And then, now he's taking this stronger stance about trans children. And I'm wondering if it's because I believe he has a godchild or he has a family member that we recently found out was trans. And I don't know if it's because of that exposure that he's flip-flopping on this issue, but good on Nicki Minaj for holding him accountable and, just saying like, what are you doing? I'm sure that his bizarre social media team will have a clapback soon. The countdown is on, but it just shows his hypocrisy when all he does is go after Donald Trump for the way that he conducts himself on social media.
I can't believe that social media strategy is still happening. I thought somebody with a brain within his team would say, this is a disaster, let's pull back now. Let's just try to memory hold this craziness. But no, they're persevering. Meghan Markle, let's talk about her. Her team allegedly sent unnecessarily aggressive messages to a journalist for being by Thomas Markle's hospital bedside. Daily Mail reporter Caroline Graham said she became good friends with Thomas after an interview back in 2018. And Kinsey, Meghan has only sent a letter to her father after his amputation surgery. But Caroline, who has been by his bedside through all this, said she would walk away from their friendship if it meant he could reconcile with his daughter.
Well, you know what? Meghan's already walked away because what we found out is while Meghan's father sat in a hospital bed, after losing a limb, Meghan had a parade of attorneys and embassy employees come through his hospital room with legal documents, some videotaping him for Meghan saying, oh, we have to send this to Meghan. We have to show her, we have to show us getting this in your hand and send it off to Meghan, and for Meghan to waste a ton of resources, not to check on her father or show sympathy, but according to the Times, we're finding out that Meghan formally breaks up with her father in this letter and reprimands him for his relationship with the media pot meat kettle. So really, I think we're wrapping up 2025 like Merry Christmas from the worst daughter ever.
And we had all that PR spin in the last week or so about how Meghan is desperately trying to find her father, find what hospital he's in, to get this letter to him. So it was all presented as Meghan extending an olive branch, but it doesn't seem to be that at all, quite the opposite. Michelle Obama, she's facing a backlash after appearing on Jimmy Kimmel's program just hours after her friend Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were found dead in their home. On the program, Kinsey, she revealed that she and Barack were meant to have dinner with a couple on Sunday, only to discover they had been murdered in their own home.
Allegedly by their son. Can you imagine going and sitting on Johnny Carson and yucking it up with a comedian and talking about your murdered friend? This is such vulgar behavior. I mean, I thought we'd seen the worst from Michelle Obama. Buckle up. 2025 is not over. If I had plans with murdered friends, I'm not going on Jimmy Kimmel the next day to laugh and to talk about it. Who is advising this woman? If you look up the pictures of her on that program, she's laughing, she's smiling. She should have canceled or postponed. But, making the murder about herself, that's absolutely vile. Oh, we had plans. Oh, they didn't show up. I wonder why. A knife to the throat, Michelle Obama.
And incredibly, despite not just showing up, because that in itself just shows such poor judgment and self-obsession, but she then had a go at President Trump for the way he reacted, the tweet he sent. And you're supposed to be a close friend. And like you said, you're on a comedy program, a late-night comedy program, and you've got the nerve to have a go at the president's response.
I know it's just like the wrong place, wrong time. The tone shouldn't have been there at all. I mean, she should not have been there at all. She's there promoting what? Herself. I just was so disgusted by this. And we always see this when celebrities die. Everybody popping up out of nowhere with their old photos that haven't talked to them in forever and all their long stories about them on Instagram. But this is a whole other level of narcissism.
Narcissism is the word. That was the word I was searching for. Now, Amy Schumer's former husband, Chris Fisher, has had his say on their high-profile divorce. Insiders told the Daily Mail he feels lost and is trying to come to terms with the fact their 7-year marriage is irretrievably broken. The insider said, of course, everyone eventually moves on from heartache, and Chris will too, but it is going to take him some time, as Amy is such an important part of his life. Kinsey, are we going to see tell-all interviews here and this couple airing their dirty laundry? Because it seems to be going that way.
Well, based on all of Amy's pictures on Instagram, after deleting all of the chunky photos, God love a chunky girl, I am one. She deletes all of her chunky photos
You are
on
not.
Thank you. She deletes all of her chunky photos on Instagram and starts uploading all of her Ozempic pictures down a dirty carpet, a dirty staircase. I think she loves attention. I think she'll want to put it out there that she's single, looking to mingle. So I absolutely can see her sitting down and doing a tell-all because it will garner her attention that she wants.
Are we blaming Ozempic for this split?
Absolutely. Everyone. Yeah. Hollywood is blaming Ozempic for this split. She's lost a ton of weight. She's feeling good about herself. And she says she wants to get back in front of a camera and she wants to get back to work. And they're saying that her focus now is her career and less on her family. And that's why this relationship deteriorated.
Before you go, Kinsey, Marjorie Taylor Greene and her boyfriend have announced their engagement, and an expert jeweler has revealed that the ring that we can see is worth $60,000 to $70,000 US based on its complex structure. Not bad.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions here, Rita. Her fiance is a YouTuber. I just want to know his credit score and how he can afford that ring. Okay. Like, how can he afford that ring based on what we know his job is? I'm impressed, to say the least.
60 to 70,000 US, that's over 100,000 Australian. That is an impressive ring. They say you should be spending a month's salary, or is it 3 months' salary on the wedding ring? So you can kind of work out his salary if he's stuck to that formula. Kinsey Schofield, thank you so much for your time tonight.